Hello, good people. Welcome to Good Things Fashion Tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to make lace Iro and Buba. In order to achieve that, I have here 5 yards of lace material. 5 yards of lace material. The first thing we are going to do is to remove our wrapper, which is the Iro, from the material. And in order to achieve that, we need to determine our hip size first, the width of our hip. For anyone that have the hip that is less than 40 inches, you are going to remove 2 yards 9 inches. That's the standard measurement. You measure out 2 yards 9 inches for your Iro, which also include the hemming allowance by the two side. If your hip is 40 inches to 46 inches, you will cut out 2 yards 13 inches. 2 yards 13 inches. But if your hips is bigger than 46 inches, you cut out 2 yards 18 inches, which is 2.5 yards for your wrapper. And that's what I'm going to do now. My hip is 48 inches, which means I'm going to need 2 yards 18 inches for my wrapper. I'll measure it out and cut it. After cutting out your Iro, you need to make sure that you keep it separate from the rest of the material. You need to keep it far away from the rest of the material so that you do not make the mistake of using it to cut out your buba. You have to fold it and keep it away because it's very common to make the mistake and cut the Iro again for the buba. And your material, the rest of your material may not be enough for the Iro, or there may be some mistake. The next thing to cut is our buba, which is the blouse. And in order to achieve this, we need some measurements. We need some measurements. We need the measurement for our blouse length. Our blouse length, how long we want the buba to be. And this measurement is from our shoulder to our hips, or anywhere you want your buba length to get to. We also need our sleeve length. And the sleeve length is taken from the nape of the neck to the desired place you want your buba to reach on your arm. This is the nape of the neck here. The bone at the back of your neck, you measure from there over your shoulder to your desired place on your arm. Some people, if they might want a very short buba, like oleku, the length might end on their upper arm, and some on their elbow, and some even want the length to get to the wrist. For me, I prefer my length to get to a 3/4. I prefer a 3/4 length. So you measure from the nape of your neck over your shoulder to the desired place you want your buba to get to, and that will be your sleeve length. We also need our hip measurement. You measure your hip and also our bust measurements. And in cutting the buba, for the width of the buba, we need to use the largest part of our body, the largest part of your body, either your hips or your bust. If your hips is larger than your bust, you fold your buba using the measurement from your hips. But if your bust is larger than your hips, you fold your buba using the measurement from your bust. And that is how we fold our buba and cut it. After determining the measurements we need to cut out our buba, the first thing we need to do is to fold our buba using our blouse length. We need to fold it using our blouse length. And for me, my blouse length is 27 inches. You measure out 27 inches. You measure out your blouse length. My blouse length is 27 inches. I will measure out 27 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Plus 1 inch sewing allowance. And I'll mark it here. I'll also measure it on the other side. After measuring out the blouse length, the buba length, plus the sewing allowance, making 28 inches, you fold it over to have two sides, one for the front, one for the back, for the front and the back of the buba. Then we cut it out after confirming the measurements. Cut out the body of the buba for both front and back. After cutting out the front and the back of the buba lengthwise, this is what I have on the table here. Note that buba has no joining at the shoulder. The next thing we need to do is to determine the width of our buba, and we do that by using the largest measurement from our body. And for me, that is my hips. So you turn the buba round, the fabric, you turn it round and fold it in a peplum fashion, as if you want to cut 360-degree peplum. But you use the measurement from the largest part of your body divided by 4. And for me, that is 48 inches for my hips divided by 4, giving me 12 inches. I now add 2 inches sewing and ease allowance to it, making 14 inches. Because buba is not meant to be tight. Remember, it has no zip, so it has to be loose a bit in order for you to wear it easily. Some people even had as much as 6 inches. Some even had 10 inches to the measurement divided by 4 from the largest part of their body. But for me, I don't want it to be too large and I don't want it to be tight. That's why I added only 2 inches. And included in that 2 inches is my sewing allowance. And that's what I am folding and confirming here. 14 inches for the for my buba. Now, after cutting the body of the buba, the next thing we are going to cut is our sleeve. We're going to cut our sleeve. Now, to determine the measurement for the sleeve, We are going to use that measurement we obtain from the largest part of our body, which is the hips for me, plus that allowance for ease that I added, making 14 on the buba body. We are going to remove it. We are going to remove the measurements we obtained from the when we measure from the nape of our neck to the desired length of the buba. We are going to minus it from that measurement we obtained from the body of the buba, which was my hips divided by 4 plus 2, which was 14 inches. And the measurement I obtained when I measured from the nape of my neck to my desired length of the buba was 22. Now, when I minus it, minus minus 14, I obtained 8 inches. Now, I'm going to add 1 inches joining allowance, 1 inch joining allowance, where I'm going to join it to the body of the buba, making 9 inches. Now for the buba, because it's a lace material, I have to take no cognizance of the fact that it has selvage. This area, it has lace selvage. I have to make sure it's at the hem of the buba. So my measurements will include the lace selvage, which is 9 inches. And for the width of the buba unfold, I'm going to use for my armhole, I'm going to use 10 inches. For my armhole, I will use 10 inches. You can use your desired armhole, but make sure it's free. For me, I'm using 10 inches. Some people use 11. I will use 10 inches. Now plus 1 inch sewing allowance, making altogether 11 inches for my armhole. And that armhole is the same length throughout the entire length of the sleeve. For a conventional buba, it's the same length from the armhole to the end of the armhole. So I'm making my 10 inches plus sewing allowance, making 11 inches. And my sleeve length is 9 inches plus sewing inches. So I'm going to mark it out in this manner. Now roll it out. I'll use it to cut out the second sleeve. Now, the next thing is to cut out our neck circumference. The neck circumference. Take note of the fact that buba has no zip. So it is necessary to make sure your neck is large enough to for your head to enter into it, no matter your hairstyle. That's why I'm going to use 3 inches by 5 inches. You can use any measurement you like depending on you. Some people use 4 inches by 4 inches or 3.5 by 5, depending on how wide you want it to be. I'm going to use 3 inch by 5 inches. I'll cut it out. Now, I'm going to measure out my armhole here. My armhole is going to be 10 inches. I'm using 10 inches for my armhole, and this is where it is. Then, at the edge of the buba, at the hem of the buba, there's going to be a vent, a slit. And for that slit, you need to use at least five inches for the slit on the two sides of the buba, in order for the buba to rest on your hips and not be tight. So where we are going to actually sew is going to be this, between that slit and the end of the armhole. That's where we are going to sew. And in order to join the buba to the sleeve, what you do is to, this is our buba opened up. In order to join the sleeve to the buba, you need to join this side. You join the side of the sleeve, sew it together in this manner. After sewing it, then you turn it to the right side. Turn the sleeve to the right side. Note that you already joined it. Then turn it to the right side. After turning it to the right side, you remember to notch the shoulder points of that sleeve, and also notch the shoulder points of your buba on the two sides. Remember to notch it so that you can know the exact place where you're going to join your sleeve. Then after turning the buba to the right side, you will not turn it like this and insert it into the buba like this. Note that your buba is on your buba is facing up. It's facing right, wrong side facing up. Your buba wrong side is facing up, while your sleeve right side is facing up before you insert it inside the buba, which means that the right side of the sleeve and the right side of the buba, they are facing each other. You now insert it like this, and you now sew it. You sew it round. You sew it round. That's the correct way to join your buba sleeve, in order for you not to have any folded edge under the armpit. For better understanding, I'm going to use these pieces of brown paper to demonstrate to us exactly what I'm trying to drive at, what I'm trying to make us understand about the cutting of the buba. Because the fabric was so big, you might not get a clearer picture of what I'm saying. So let's assume this is the length of the wrapper, the remaining fabric. This is the remaining fabric. What I did is I turned it this way. this is the length of the fabric, this is the breadth of it. In such a way that if you want to measure the fabric, you measure it like this. You can measure 1 yard 36 inches, another 36 inches like that. Then what I did is I turned it this way. I turned it this way. And like I said, my blouse length is 27 inches. I now added 1 inch sewing allowance. So I now measure, what I did is I measured the 27 inches from here to the 27 inches point. I added 1 inch sewing allowance. I also did the same thing on this other side. 27 inches, I added 1 inch sewing allowance, making 28 inches that I measured. I now folded it at that 28-inch point, at the 28 inches point, in this manner. I folded it in this manner. I folded it in this manner, making 28 inches here, then this side 28 inches. I now cut it out. I cut it out like this. And here we have the fabric for the blouse cut lengthwise. This is the measurement indicating the length of the blouse. Now, in order to get the width, we now turn it. You turn the fabric the other way like this, and you now fold using the largest width of your body. And I said in my own case, it was my hips, which was 48 inches, and I divided it by 4, which gives me 12 inches. I added 2 inches ease allowance for the buba, in order for the buba to be a bit roomy. And that's how what I folded like this, from this place to this place, 14 inches. And that is what I cut out. That's what I cut out. That's what I cut out, 14 inches for this side, 14 inches for the other side, which is the fabric for our buba. And now cut, I measured out the neck circumference using 3 inches by 5 inches like this. And now cut it out, giving us our buba body like this. Now the only work we have to do on our wrapper is to hem the two sides of the wrapper. We need to measure out 2 inch on the side of the wrapper. We measure out 2 inch, measure out 2 inch in this manner, 2 inch, 2 inch, to rule and join those 2 inch that I marked. I join them. Now using my office pin, I'm going to fold inside that 2 inch measurement. I'll fold it in and hold them down with my office pin. This is what I have after pinning down the two inches folded side. I will now go to my sewing machine and sew it in by half inch. I will turn it inside by half inch on the two sides in this manner. I will do the same thing to the other side of the wrapper. Note that you will not turn in the downside of the wrapper, no matter the fabric you are using. For Iro and Buba, you do not turn down the edge of the wrapper on the downside. Even if it's lace fabric or Ankara or any other fabric, you are not meant to turn down the edge of the wrapper on the downside. You only turn in the two sides that you are going to tie. This is the outcome of the buba after I finished joining it. What I did is I used a bias tape like this, bias tape, and I opened it up and sewed it from the right side round the neck circumference. After sewing it round, I now turn it in to the other side and sew it down round the circumference of the neck, and this is what I have after sewing the neck round. I also join the sleeve like I said, turning the sleeve inward. It was inside like this from the left side. From the wrong side, it was the the sleeve was turned inward like this. The right side of the sleeve was facing the right side of the blouse inside, and I sewed it round before now joining the side, and that is our complete buba. The buba is ready. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.